Scarlet Nexus is a game that many people have been excited about ever since it was first shown off. And there's a demo available today on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series S and X. It's a game rooted in last generation, but there is an up-resed version of that game for the new consoles. So I thought I'd try out the demo, give my impressions about the graphics and the gameplay and just the overall feeling of the game. Scarlet Nexus is very much a Japanese-style action-adventure slash role-playing game. And as I began playing it, I was struck with how much it reminded me of the game Nier Automata. If you've ever played that, you have some idea of the setting and the way that the story is told. But the combat in this game feels very, very fresh, very cool. But I recommend playing through the tutorial because there are a lot of combos that you need to get used to. And once you do, it almost takes on a life of its own as you play the game, and the combat just flows very nicely. So after the tutorial, you're thrust into the world, and the game is highly stylized. It is a beautiful, beautiful game running on the Xbox Series S. So by default, it's going to look much better on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. And I like the way that they tell the story. It's sort of like a comic book style cutscene slash full motion video. If you've ever played Gravity Rush on the PlayStation 4, it's done in that style, and the artwork is extremely beautiful and just immaculate the way that it's presented to you. So you have a team that's with you, but you only control one character. And the gameplay hook is that you can borrow the powers of each of your teammates to defeat certain enemies. For instance, there are enemies that are extremely quick, and you have to borrow the sort of like speed ability from one character or the electric ability from another. And you have to sort of work out the puzzle of how to defeat certain enemies. And in some instances, you have to swap back and forth. You hold the right bumper down, and you can select with the face buttons which power you want to use. And you get these really cool combos that you can pull off and finishers that just look incredible. It's like an anime style finisher where you see the character close up, and there's a lot of great artwork and a lot of great effects work. And it's extremely fast. The game moves very, very quickly. So it does take some time to get used to all these button combos. So you really have to go through that tutorial. I want to stress that. But again, the gameplay just feels very, very fluid and very tight. Here I'm using the psychokinesis power where I can pick up objects and throw them at will at the enemies while I'm attacking them. And if you manage to attack them at the same instance that something you picked up hits them, you get an even bigger damage to that enemy. And there are a lot of different combos that you can pull off as well. But again, you have to go through this game very, very slowly, and you have to learn all of these combos. There's a lot presented to you really early on. But once you get, my impression is once you get past the complexity of the controls, it's going to lend itself very well to a deep gameplay experience. There's the standard lock-on, dash, light attack, heavy attack, and then you can borrow those powers like I talked about earlier. And when you borrow them, there's a cooldown time, obviously, so you can use them, but you can't use them over and over and over again. So you really have to be methodical with your light and heavy attack and then learn what type of enemy you're fighting and then match the power that you need to defeat that enemy. This game is sort of a mashup of many different Japanese-style action RPGs slash adventure games. Think Persona, the way that the story is told, and Nier, the way that the gameplay evolves and the world looks and feels. I think this game is going to be a hit with the audience that loves those type of Japanese-style games. And like all of those games, you have your highly stylized female lead characters. Who couldn't appreciate those? So let's talk about performance. I'm playing this on the Xbox Series S. It's optimized for both consoles, the S and the X. And the load times seem fast, not as fast as other games, even last generation games that take advantage of the backwards compatibility program. And graphically, I am not sure what the resolution is. It looks beautiful on my big 4K screen. So what you see is what you get when you play the game. Not a big deal resolution-wise, but graphically, the way it's stylized is just very, very beautiful. And the colors in this game are a huge selling point. I mean, the world is so vivid, so colorful, And I like the character design and I like the enemy design so far. I haven't played much, I just played the demo. But from what I've seen, it falls in line with a lot of those other games that I mentioned earlier. So again, if you're a fan of those, this is going to be something you're really going to enjoy. And I'm interested to see the story and how it evolves. So right here, you can see how I'm borrowing that super speed ability to catch an enemy that you can't fight because they're moving so quickly. And that's an example of identifying the enemy type and then borrowing the subsequent power to match and then use your combos and finishers. So I definitely would recommend checking out the demo if you have an Xbox One or a Series X or S, or when it comes to the PlayStation 5. I think this game is going to be a hit with the audience that it's going after. And if you love Nier, and if you love the way that the storytelling is told in Persona and Gravity Rush, this is something that I think you're going to really enjoy. I'm interested to see where the story goes. I'm interested to learn about these other two characters in this demo a little bit more and seeing more of the world as I play through the game. Now, who is this game for? I think that it's going to skew heavily to PlayStation gamers. This is the type of game that you expect to be on a PlayStation system, and there hasn't been traditionally that much Japanese support on the Xbox, although that's getting better because this demo is available exclusively on the Xbox right now. So I think it'll probably skew PlayStation, but I definitely think if you have an Xbox, you have to check this out, especially, again, if you played any of the Nier games or the prequel that came out recently on every console. So let me know if you checked it out. Like and subscribe, share out on your favorite social media platform of choice. Thanks for watching.